Okay, so now we have gone through and we've done just about everything we can to our in-class assignment. We're almost finished with it. Whoops. The last thing that we want to do is copy fit it. And the copy fitting process is super important. Um, it'll save you a lot of embarrassment, but it's also a reasonably tedious thing to do. Um, if you open your packets to page 96, there are some good guidelines for copy fitting. And also on page 147, there are a few pages that discuss how to do specific copy fitting uh, things in InDesign. The basics of copy fitting involve starting at the very beginning of your document and just looking at it line by line to make sure that everything is where it's supposed to be. When we're doing copy fitting, we're looking for things like awkward hyphenating. We're looking for things like bad line breaks. We're looking for things like one-word lines. We're looking for things like, I think we have one here, areas where subhead, is at the very bottom of the page and where it should be at the top of the page with the paragraphs that go with it. We're looking for things where maybe our fonts or our paragraph styles didn't get applied appropriately, things like that. Super important to start at the beginning because every change you make affects only the text below it. In other words, if I just scroll through and I say, oh, on page 2, this results needs a page break before it, and page break again is shift and the enter key on your number pad. I can do that. All of the text above it is not affected. All of the text below it is affected. So if I have to come through and say, let's say, oh, this is missing a paragraph, and I type, my page break, let me see if I can get this over here. My page break now is on page 3, and it pushes all of that content to page 4, and now everything below it is totally messed up. So it's really important that you only work from the beginning and make all of your changes as you go. As I go through what I'm doing, I have my hidden characters turned on. You can see, oh yeah, I don't have my highlighter going. Hidden characters are turned on so that I can make sure that all my formatting is correct as well as my actual text. I'm going through and looking on both sides of the paragraph. So on the right side and, on the left side and on the right side. And I'm looking for things like word stacks where we have maybe the same word appearing twice. I think we have one a little later on that I'll show you. I'm also looking for things like hyphenating, making sure that people's names aren't getting broken over lines, making sure that I'm happy and satisfied with the way that every word is hyphenated. So again, this is a reasonably tedious process, and but one that can definitely save you a lot of embarrassment and a lot of heartache. So I didn't see any issues on page 1 that I needed to fix. On page 2, though, I'm just looking and I can see that my typeface here for this little numbered list that we created is different. It's Arno Pro. It's not Chaparral Pro like the rest of my document. So, not sure what happened there, but obviously we need to make that adjustment. So I'm going to come in and edit my numbered list 1, and just make sure that it's Chaparral Pro. And it's 10 over 15. Let me just make sure that that's the same values that I have here. Nope, 10 over 14 is what I want. I can tell with this, my type size and my leading values are there. So I'll come back in and adjust numbered list 1 to be 10 over 14. Again, not sure why that's the case, but it happened, so we need to fix it. Okay, so now those look good, and I'm just checking for any word stacks or odd hyphenization. Here we have a couple of one-word lines, here and here. Ideally, you want to avoid those anytime you can. When they're longer words, purchase and benefit, 2 syllables and 3 syllables, it's not like it's just the word to that's at the end of a line. You can possibly be okay. In this case, though, I have this very short word that I could pretty easily bump down so that purchase isn't all by itself. So I'm going to try to do that. The way that we normally adjust these one-word lines is to highlight either the entire line with the exception of the word that you want to move, or the entire paragraph with the exception of the word that you want to move, and adjust the tracking. So I just want to track this out just a little bit. The tracking field is this field right here. I can also, though, and I find it easier in fact, to just hold down the Option key and to hit the side-to-side arrow. Now when I do that, when I highlight the entire paragraph, it adjusts the tracking to 20, a value of 20, and it moves not only the word to, but also the word needs down a little bit. Now, if I look at this, I want to trust my eye and say, does that look a little too spacey compared to the rest of the text? And to me, it kind of does. So I'm going to undo that, and I'm going to try to adjust just the tracking of this one line to see if I can bump just the word to down. So again, I'll hold down the Option key, hit the right arrow, and hitting it once, again, applies a tracking value of 20 to just the line that's highlighted, and it bumps the word to down. So that's great. If I click out of that, that doesn't look too spacey to me in comparison to the rest of the text, so I think we're okay. As a rule of thumb, you never want to go above a tracking value of about 40. 40 is kind of pushing it. If tracking the line or the paragraph to 40 doesn't accomplish the copy fitting that you want to accomplish, it's better to have a one-word line, like in the case of purchase, than it is to have super spacey text just so that you can push one word down. In the case of this second line, let's see if we can do the same thing with the word also. So we'll highlight the line that comes right before also, hold down the Option key, right arrow key, and applying a tracking value of 20 bumps that down. So I'm happy with that. As we continue on, we'll look for similar things. So I don't see any word stacks. I don't see any issues there. But this is too bad. I have the word shelves as a one-word line, which I don't like, but the word before it is a pretty long word. What that tells me is that it's going to take quite a bit of tracking to bump this whole word down to be with the word shelves. So let's just see. If I hold down the Option key, right arrow once, twice, 3 times. So now I have a tracking value of 60, which is way too much. And if I just look at the line, it's very clearly spacier than the others. So I'm going to undo, 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 and possibly try bringing this word, the word shelves, up to the line above it. To do that, I can highlight the entire line, hold down the Option key, and hit the left arrow to do some negative tracking to that line. That squishes the line together, you can see, and it pulls the word shelves up with a tracking value of 40, negative 40, sorry, which is in that rule of thumb limit, but again, I'm always wanting to trust my eye, and if I look at this line, it looks just a little bit too squished to me. So I'm going to undo that, and maybe if I highlight these 4 lines, and adjust the tracking uniformly on all of them to hold down the Option key and the left arrow key once. That applies a tracking value of negative 20 everywhere, and it pulls this up, and it creates, it's not super spacey. Oh, hi, Day. My daughter came down to visit. Hi. How are you? Hi. Cool.
Baby doll.
A baby doll, huh? Okay, so that looks pretty good. So I'll be happy with that. Now I still have this page break-in from before. I must not have hit the undo key enough, so I'll delete that. No need for a page break there. This looks good. I do have a word stack right here with the word the repeated twice. This should be an easy fix because the word before the second the is a short word, is. So I'll just highlight this line, hold down the Option key, right arrow key to adjust the tracking, just give it a value of 20, and then move that is down. So that is copy fitted now very nicely. Continue on throughout the entire document doing this kind of thing. Right here I have some dates. I'd want to pay very close attention to these to make sure that they're all together, at least as is reasonably possible. Here I have 20th and century broken over a line, which isn't super ideal. What I can do is, let's see, I can highlight word combinations like this that I don't want to break. Oops, let's see, I don't want to highlight spaces before or after them, I just want the words. And if I go to type and character, or just hit Command T, brings up my character panel, and in the flyout menu, I believe, yeah, there's this option for no break. If I click that, it will automatically adjust so that these words stay together on a line. So that's a nice little feature there. So I will continue going through looking for one-word lines, word stacks, awkward line breaking, all of that kind of thing. So you do need to be very careful. You need to go through it very carefully and look for these kinds of things. Here's another word stack. Here I have the word have twice. So I will adjust the tracking here and just bump that out. Again, I'm holding down the Option key, hitting the right arrow key, and just giving that a tracking value of 20. But look at this. So it actually bumped both of those lines down. So now I just moved the word stack to the left side of the page instead of the left margin instead of the right margin. So possibly what I would want to do is pull one of those halves up. So I will highlight this entire line before the second half, hold down the Option key, hit the left arrow, adjust that tracking once, twice. Brought it up, but it's pretty squished, so I'll undo that. And maybe what I can do is try bumping the word those down. So that accomplished it with a tracking value of just 20. And now I have avoided that word stack. Oh, good. Are you drawing only on paper? Good job. That's right. Okay, that is the basics of copy fitting. You want to make sure that everything looks good and start at the very top and continue on through. Now I've noticed we did not apply all of our paragraph styles from last time, so let's finish that up. In the second article we have our paragraph style, called subhead applied to introduction. We actually need to create another paragraph style for these second level subheads. So let's do that. I'm going to just create the new style here and call it subhead 2. And Daddy's working and Day's working. Alright, so it'll be based on, we'll base it on none. And we'll do Avenir, oblique, and we'll go to indents and spacing and do a 2p0 space before, like that, and a 0p10 space after. So that should be good. Now I'll just apply subhead 2 here. Also to the divine confrontation, the introductory word, the commission, the objection, the reassurance, the sign, and the conclusion is just the regular subhead. Now I need to go back and apply just those first, oh, I'm sorry, elements of the narrative call pattern is actually a regular subhead. So we will apply that. Now I need to apply the body text first paragraph to all of the paragraphs that come after. Oh, and actually it looks like none of this is styled. Hopefully you guys have done this already. But I will just catch up with you and go body text first paragraph, and body text, again, body text first paragraph, etc. So and like that. Okay. So now that we have all of the paragraphs styled, certainly you need to have your paragraphs styled before you can copy fit. I have forgotten that we didn't quite finish styling all of these. At this point, I would want to go through and do the exact same copy fitting steps that I did to the first article. So I hope that helps. I won't go through and do the entire thing, but it's an important step. It's tedious, like I mentioned before, but it's definitely worth it.